Hey now, hello. This is Dale Schweeman with the Schweeview. We are live again. It's been quite a while, maybe a couple of months, I think, since I've been able to be on the air. But I'm still here. I've got my subscribers asking you to go ahead and get some more subscribers. Get this show shared out. Tonight's topic is going to be the Southern Wall. It's been quite a while since I've talked about anything. And I think the way to come back is to talk about this Southern Wall. We've got a lot of activity on Facebook and all the different social media things and the different opinions about the government shutdown. And the government shutdown it's all hinged around a $5.7 billion request to build a wall. Somebody pointed out that when you break it all the way down for the total per capita, we're talking at like $57 a person, or I don't know. I can't remember how they broke it out, but it basically breaks down to $57 per household that has a $44,000 a year income. And that's a simplicity way of looking at it, while other people are saying there's a tantrum between the president and tantrum between the Democrats. But the bottom line here is a lot of people are paying for somebody else's frustrations or somebody else's points they want to make. Nancy Pelosi, I'm going to tell you, as I said earlier in one of my and numerous other ones of my shows, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I am honestly confused as to how and why Nancy Pelosi was voted back in as a Speaker of the House. She wasn't a team player the last time she was a Speaker. She's not a team player again. Remember, the United States of America, it's the US of A. You can't have the US of A without us. Okay, but my thing, people are pitting each other over the Democrat or the Republican position, and they're not listening to everything that's being said. And I do believe that President Trump broke it down best. He said, and I hear the people who say, look, where was his requests for the first 2 years of his presidency? Why is it now become an emergency? I hear that, but I don't care. The point is, he did just all of a sudden request $5.7 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't care who anybody says, what anybody says, as far as how it's just a small portion of the true trillion-dollar plus budget, which is a large portion of our multi-trillion-dollar deficit. Okay. But why $5.7 billion? And then requested more after the government got shut down. He said, hey, we can fix this, but I do want more now. Negotiations don't usually go, I'll tell you what, we'll come to the table and I'll give up some, or you give up some and I'll take more. That's not negotiation, and that's not negotiation in good faith. But the biggest thing is, just the other day, the president, who is demanding this $5.7 billion to build this security wall, just pointed out that previous administrations had been already putting up a fence or a wall or a barrier or a border control security system, which is true. There's no disputing that. Okay. So I don't have a problem with continuing along the same concept. But our president, this was already being done in previous administrations, and they really only needed, of the 2,000-mile border, they really only needed to finish 800 miles of it. $5.7 billion for an 800-mile section? I really want to know what they're building it out of, because that's some seriously valuable product. Okay? $5.7 billion for 800 miles of a wall or a fence or a border or whatever you want to call it. That's a lot of money. Okay. But somebody else pointed out on Facebook, a couple of my friends were talking about it, and somebody said, the wall's not the answer. Somebody else said, okay, well, what is your solution? If you think the wall's not the answer, what is your solution? Look, I've talked about this for years. First, we've had an immigration issue. Whether you want to call it a problem or not, it's semantics. We've had an immigration issue for a couple centuries. Okay, and I do literally mean that, a couple of centuries. All right, right now, everybody's looking at it, and I'm going to say our social media has created this to be a bigger problem than it's ever been. And the world's social media has also enhanced the number of people who want to come to the United States, because more people are being able to get an idea of what's going on in the United States as far as our free markets, as far as the way we live, as far as the way we can actually speak freely and move freely and express ourselves. This is coming about because of the social media advances. Technology advances in this social media has opened up the idea for other people to come to our country. So the solution is not fully a wall. The solution, we have a lot of laws on the books already about how people are supposed to properly come to the United States. If those laws were to be enforced properly, we wouldn't have an immigration issue. But we put a lot of laws on the books. We don't repeal a lot of the old laws, and then laws get lapped on top of the other, on top of the other. When you have all this confusion, you end up, nobody knows which law or policy or anything to implement at the time. And then we have our government shutdowns that put the people that are supposed to be enforcing these things out of work, and then we just have more problems. There's a lot of bureaucracy that is creating a lot of our immigration issue. Okay. We have a lot of individuals who come to the United States, and I have encountered a few that have opened my eyes to some of the problems as well. When they come to the United States, they can't speak English, and they don't or are unable to get a hold of somebody who can teach them or tell them or walk them through the proper ways to do their paperwork. So there's a communication issue. That's an issue with our government, in which we all who have been born and raised in the United States know that dealing with our government and the paperwork and the bureaucracy and the chaos and the bad attitude of all the government workers that are behind the counter is not anything we want to do, and we speak the language. It's like for somebody who's trying to immigrate from another country and doesn't speak our language, or even if they do speak the language, they don't know how to deal with the typical government bureaucracy bullshit that we know about. So we have to give a little bit of credence to the people who are coming across confused, and let them know that our government does have the answers in place, but we're also part of the problem. However, the biggest part of this problem, I've already spoke on this in a previous issue. The biggest problem is we as a country, in our capitalist society, as far as our businesses go, we have made it simple for individuals to come to this country, not only illegally, but live here continuously illegally. Our grocery stores, touch a button on the cash register and it converts everything to Spanish. We call some place 900 for some sort of service thing, and every place you call, press 5 for Spanish, press 8 for Spanish, press 2 for Spanish. Everybody can come to this country, and we have allowed our country to create within itself an underground system for illegal aliens. We cater to making sure that nobody is offended, nobody's civil rights are violated. I have no problem with our country being able to speak English. I don't have a problem with having a bilingual country. However, when you speak Spanish, you should also be able to speak English. There's a bilingual situation goes on both ways. If we can speak English, we need to speak Spanish. Well, the individuals who come over speaking Spanish should be able to speak English. I have no problem with speaking Spanish as well. But I have a problem with saying English is our only language. That's not a good thing. But English should be our primary language. So if you come to this country, you should be wanting to speak English. There's a thing called assimilation. It's been going on for centuries, in which people coming from one country to this country assimilate. It has happened. It needs to continue to happen. Otherwise, we will continue to have an illegal immigration problem. Okay? That's where it comes in, is when we have the immigrants come in illegally and then find a way to stay within the country and operate in an underground system that perpetuates them being able to stay here illegally. We need to be able to find a way, and the vast majority of the people, this needs to be noted by anybody, whether you like the situation or whether you're just a downright hater of all immigrants. You need to understand, the people came to this country because they wanted to get away from where they were coming from. Nobody wants to be here illegally. They truly want to be here legally, but again, we're back to going up to a government agency and hitting the bureaucracy that they hit. We hit it. Like I said, we don't even want to go get driver's licenses. Nobody wants to go deal with the Social Security office. Nobody wants to deal with the unemployment office. Nobody, even the people born and raised in this country, want to deal with any of our government agencies. So do you think the people who are coming in as immigrants get treated any better? No. But the wall is not the solution. Even if you put up this $5.7 billion wall for the 800 miles that President Trump says is all we need left, we're still going to have a problem. People do come in by boats. People do come in by air. People do come in other ways. Okay? But the point is, us bickering about it is never going to solve the problem. Us pointing fingers and saying, well, the wall is going to be the solution and let it go. Oh, you who don't agree with the wall, then you tell us what's the best way. Okay. We need to implement the laws and policies we already have in place. We need to create a better government system for allowing the migrants, the immigrants, to come over and properly seek asylum. Again, I'll go back to, nobody wants to deal with our government, even us. So don't think that it's simple, and don't think that, oh, well, they can come through the legal and right way. They want to, but we don't make it easy for them to do it. We don't even make it allowable for them to do it. Again, I'll back to, you don't like going to the Social Security office. Nobody behind the desk of any government agency makes you feel like they want you there. They get paid a check. They're a government worker. How many times your whole life in the United States you go, they're a government worker. They're going to get paid. Yes. Well, these last 3 weeks, they're not getting paid and they're upset. But that's neither here nor there at this point. We have policies. We have laws. The immigrants coming in don't know what those laws are. We may know the laws, but they don't know the laws. And then once they're in, And if they become scared to try to go through the proper agency ways because they hear through the social media, they're going to be deported. So now once they get in, they get confused. They can't do things properly. And then they're stuck in here. Now they're afraid to do it properly because they're going to be deported. They're going to be threatened. Think about it. Try to put yourselves in a situation where you don't speak the language. You don't know the full culture. This is something you want. You have this as a dream. It's got to be better. People going for literally thousands of miles trying to get to a dream of a better place. And then they get here, they become confused, they get scared, and then they see on the social media of people being put in cages, people being deported back, children dying, which is not the whole story. Our news is notorious for only taking a small part of something, the ugliest part of something, and then letting that be the whole. And people buy it hook, line, and sinker and think that, oh, if that's the way it showed on the news, it must be all of Chicago must be a horrendous place because look what we saw on the news. All of Cleveland must be dirty and filthy because look what we saw on the news. All of New York. We pick and choose. Our news isn't fake news. Our news is unfortunately slighted toward selling commercials. They want people to view. So the more viewership they get up in there, the more sponsorship they get from the commercials. And we run off going fake news, fake news, fake news. Just because it doesn't fit what you think doesn't make it fake. The point is, they're only going to show you what they want you to see. And what they want you to see is only something that's going to catch your interest so that they can get you as a viewer, so that they can get their sales on commercials. This is what all this caravan, this is what all this wall, this is what all this migrant immigration illegal stuff comes down to. It's money. And $5.7 billion for an 800-mile stretch of a wall. And this is the president's words himself. I'm not picking this up. I didn't make this up. This is not fake news on my part. Okay, this is not made up news. This is not exaggerated news. The President of the United States stated just the other day in a news conference, of the 2,000 miles of border, only 800 miles need to be finished. It's his own words. Now, if we don't want to call the president a liar, we have to accept the words that he says are true. 800 miles. It's $5.7 billion. That's a lot of money. 800 miles. Well, I ask you, is that what you really want to spend the money on? And I ask you, is it really the answer? Here's the other thing that just popped in my head. 800 miles of 2,000. Okay? That means the immigrants are being funneled into an 800-mile stretch. So that means our satellites should be able to see how the people are coming across and where, and they should be able to see them. We come into that 800-mile channel. Why do we have a problem? Could we not use that $5.7 billion in a better or smarter way? It's a lot of money for an 800-mile fence when it's not going to solve the situation anyway. Because like I said, our problem, our situation is rooted in the fact that once the immigrants get here, they have no ability to transition into being a citizen and being a functional, legal citizen at that. Yes, we have laws in place. That doesn't mean they know them. We have government agencies and government locations that they can go in and check into and try to transition through all our stuff. They don't know our laws. We don't know the Mexican laws. But once they get here, they deal with our government bureaucracy. They're scared. They're confused. They're worse off than we are when we deal with our government bureaucracy. And then they see in social media what's going on with individuals who haven't done things right. Now they're scared to go check in and do it properly because they're going to be immediately deported. That's my 20 minutes tonight. What am I love you again? After all this that we just said, there can be no United States without the U.S., which is us. This is Dale Schweeman with the Schweeview, logging off, saying send out some subscriptions and go ahead and share this. Thank you very much.